This episode is about how to stop overthinking everything right now, and it's one of my most requested episodes. Because we live in an age where we overthink everything, especially with social media. It's a 24/7 news cycle, just our modern life. It's hard to focus, and it's hard to turn off the monkey mind. But I promise this episode will be different from all the other videos you've seen on overthinking. We're going to use the exact framework that the ancient Stoics used to stop overthinking in their day. And it's a simple 3-part system that anyone can follow. First, we'll look at why we overthink, then we'll get into the actual step-by-step method. And finally, I'll share a personal example so you can see it in action. Let's get started. Here's the first thing you need to know about why we overthink. Contrary to popular opinion, overthinking is not a mindset issue. It's a system issue. In less academic terms, your overthinking is caused by your brain wanting two things: certainty and control. See, your brain doesn't like uncertainty, so when you're stuck in overthinking mode, it will keep asking what-if questions until you get the certainty that you desire. What if they hate my post? What if they don't want to see me again? And if I lose my job? But here's the irony. The more you chase these certainties, the less control you have in your life. Now, I know this may sound strange, but stick with me, because this is where the Stoics can help us. Marcus Aurelius says it best. You have the power to choose how you react to any situation. But overthinking is exactly what he's referring to when he says that. Don't fool yourself. Marcus continues. What you choose to focus on expands. He doesn't say what you think about, he says what you choose to focus on. And that's important because focusing and thinking are two different things. Thinking is free, but focus is a choice. And that's where the Stoics can help us. They understood that worry changes nothing. In fact, it was the chief task of the philosopher to distinguish between what's in our control and what's not. Epictetus put it like this. There are things we can control, our actions and our attitude. And there are things we cannot control. Other people, their actions, outcomes, the past. Now, you probably realized that some of those things are necessary to get what you want in life. Like if you want to build wealth, you need other people. You need them to buy your product. You need them to hire you. You need them to invest in you. So the idea isn't to remove other people or outcomes from your thinking entirely. It's to remove them from your worry and concern. So let's talk about the 3-part Stoic method to stop overthinking. Step number 1, write it out. When you're overthinking, you're usually trapped in a loop of thoughts. Those thoughts distract you, make you anxious, and they prevent you from taking action. But when you take that stream of consciousness and force it onto paper, you break the loop. There's something therapeutic about writing it out, getting it out of your head, and seeing it visually in front of you. Here's a simple journaling prompt. Write down all the what-ifs, all the worries and concerns you have about whatever it is that's on your mind. Try to exhaust every possibility. How would life be if this happened? How would life be if this didn't happen? Once you've written down all the possibilities, ask yourself, which of these outcomes am I actually in control of changing? To answer that question, you'll use step 2, the control filter. Take each item on the list and categorize them. Circle the items in your control and strike through what's not in your control. As you do this, you'll notice something interesting. Most of the things on your list are outside of your control. People's opinions, what happens next, things in the past. None of these things are in your control. Once you circle what's in your control and cross out what's not in your control, you move on to step 3, micro-action. You'll take the items you circled, the things that are in your control, and you'll pick one small action you can take to move forward. You see, overthinking paralyzes you because it convinces you that you must have all the answers. And even worse, it convinces you that you must have them right now. But the truth is that big questions often have unknowable answers. Should I break up with my partner? Should I start a business? Should I quit my job? Should I take this promotion? Sometimes you just can't have all the answers. It's okay to not know. It's okay to not have certainty. But here's the kicker. Even if you can't know what's going to happen, you can still move forward. You can take a small step forward. And that's what micro-action is about. Think of it as a bridge between overthinking and decisive action. Sometimes that micro-action is something you will do. The Stoics believed that the key to happiness was learning to intentionally let go. So if it's not in your control, what will you do? Will you focus on it? Will you worry about it? Will you actively try to change it? Here's how you can use the control filter to help you decide. If it's not in your control, you will either let it go or you will accept it as it is. In other words, you'll stop fighting reality. Let me give you an example. Let's say you're worried about what others think of you. Take that worry, write it down. Then ask yourself, what can I control about this? Can I control other people's opinions? No. Can I control whether or not I let others' opinions affect me? Yes. Can I control how I show up? Yes. So those are the things you circle. And now you ask, what will I do? Will I stop caring about what others think? No. Will I start acting in a way that proves them right? No. Will I focus on being the best version of myself possible? Yes. That's your micro action. That's how you take a worry or a concern and transform it into a plan. So now let me give you a real-life example. Last week I had a call with someone who I really wanted to impress. She's a potential client and she's also a thought leader in her field. I wanted to do well in this call, but unfortunately, early on in the meeting, I stumbled with my words. And I felt like I didn't come across the way that I wanted to. And so naturally, after the call ended, I started to overthink. I found myself replaying the entire conversation over and over in my mind. I asked myself, did I mess it up? Did she think I was stupid? Was she impressed? Should I call her back and explain? As I caught myself overthinking, I decided to write it out. I wrote down all the what-ifs that were running through my mind, and then I used the control filter. As I did this, I realized that the only thing I could control was my follow-up email. The rest of it, her reaction, her perception, none of it was in my control. And so I realized that I had two choices. I could let it go and send her a funny email that said, sometimes my brain plays tricks on me and I stumble over words. But I promise I'm not as dumb as I sound. Or I could continue to worry about it. I chose to let it go. And that's how the Stoic method stopped me from overthinking that situation. Now, if you want to learn more about overthinking, I recommend checking out my other videos that touch on this topic. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you tomorrow.